Makes sense, Pete. Speak English. Hi guys, Peter Finch here and welcome down to the Quest Golf Academy, and we're going to be doing my quest for the Open, what's in the bag. So these are the clubs that I'm going to be using pretty much over the next month going into Open qualifying. Right, first thing to do, empty the bag. So the bag, picked this up at the British Masters last year, as you can probably tell. Very, very British centric. I've got a couple of tags here. One's from Bearwood Lakes and the others is from a little place called Augusta. Got this one when I played, got this one out of the shop for ridiculous money, but hey ho, they're still both on there. I tend to use this bag more than any other. It's got my name on as well, just because of its ease of use. So I can stick this on a trolley, I can carry it on my back as well. I wouldn't mind a fancy tour bag, but to be honest, I'd generally stay in here in the bay. This is my go-to. Only thing to look at on the bag is this towel, an Open towel, which I got from Carnoustie a few weeks ago. It's a good towel, but it's more about what it says. What we're going for the Open. So first up, the driver. Now, I've been switching in and out the M2 and the M1, and I've finally settled on the M1. Now, the difference between these two drivers, it's the second range of the M1, the M2 I'm talking about here. The difference isn't great. However, on the M1, I can slide the weights around a little bit more and I can just reduce that spin a little bit more on the tee shots. Now, if you've been following me for a while, that's always been a little bit of an issue. And this M1, the 460 version, it seems to keep me on the straight and narrow as much as the M2 does. And that's what the best thing about the M2 was for me, it was just the accuracy on it. I've tried the M3 and the M4, wasn't totally convinced by the whole twist face thing, especially because I hit some of my best shots when I do hit slightly out of the toe because it reduces the spin. So this is what I've settled on for now, and over the last few weeks my strokes gained on my driving using my Round Pro, it has been going up as well. So I'll just try and launch one away for you here as well. I'm still using the same shaft, so I've still got the Ideal Rogue in there. I'm trying a few different ones out of that as well, but this is still the best shaft for me at this moment in time. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty straight. That's pretty straight indeed. So other aspects about this driver, I've just mentioned the weight system. I've moved the back weight much closer to the front of the club. Now this reduces the amount of backspin that I should be getting. I've also used the front rail, I'll put that straight in the middle. I don't want to see too much of a draw, too much of a fade on my shots. And Lawrence, one of my subscribers, also sent me through this little fella to actually wear on top of my driver. If you don't know why the Fox and me are intimately combined on our golfing journey, I'll include a clip just to explain a little bit more.
Right, okay, come on. He thinks there might be some... You stay away from that head cover. Stay away. Stay away from my head cover. Oi! Oi!
Now the 3 wood, I've switched into the G400. Now I was using the G3 wood, still from Ping, but I found that this is a little bit better off the tee. Now the reason for that is it's the stretch version. Now the whole point of the stretch version, it's a lower loft, so I can get this as low as 13, well actually lower than 13, I've got it set at 13 degrees. But it gives me a good variation of tee shots and off the fairway, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And again, it's all about controlling the spin. So this first shot I'm going to hit is off a very small tee peg, and then I'm going to hit off basically the deck as well. That's nice. Good example of what that's like off an actual tee there. Nice. Total distance of 269, carry 253. So it's a bit of a beast, but just watch this when I hit it off the deck as well. So you can see very, very different types of flight. One is so much more piercing off the deck, but it's actually carrying and pitching up around the same distance. This is an all-round, yeah, beastie club. Other things about this club, it's got 75-gram extra stiff shafting. It's one of the Ping stock ones. I don't need anything too much more fancy than this. And like I said, Ping 3 woods and Ping fairway woods generally, I've not really strayed away from those in the last 5 years. I had a little bit of a flirtation with the Mizuno, but that turned out to just be a whirlwind romance. And then I went back to my true love. And next in the bag, this King Cobra utility iron. Now, I put this in the bag actually last year, kind of fell out of love with it and changed a few things in my swing, and now all of a sudden, it's one of my favorite clubs in the bag. Just shows what a little bit of time can do for you. Now, I've got a Project X hazardous shaft in this. It's set to 19.5 degrees, and at the top end of my bag, this is a very useful weapon to have because it's pretty good off the fairway, but also it's that other option off the tee as well. Certainly if I want to keep it really low into wind, this is a great club to use, and I'll show you one of those little stinger shots now. Putting that ball back in my stance just a wee bit, leaning that shaft forward and just trying to keep it nice and low. And I can really just get it fizzing down there. And that type of flight on a links course, yes please. Now this is the part of my bag which is most in flux, shall we say. So this is the G400 hybrid. Now this is in the bag at the moment in replacement of my 1-length 4-iron. Now the reason for that is this launch is so much higher than my 1-length 4 does. So when I'm approaching a green where I need to get it up in the air from a long distance, this is definitely the best option because the 4-iron in my 1-length set just comes out so flat. So this one I can launch a little bit higher and I can get it settling by a pin which is a little bit tighter from a longer distance, much better. The only issue with this is I don't feel that it's maneuverable enough. So I've only really got a straight shot with this in the bag. Now that might sound a little bit silly, but if I need to keep it low or I need to draw or fade it, I do struggle with this club a little bit. But generally speaking, hitting it straight down target line, yeah, it's good. I mean, that's a prime example. So that was slightly necky, not the best strike, but it has just gone so straight. And that is what this club is absolutely fantastic for. If it's going to stay in the bag long term, I'm not sure. But at this moment in time, yeah, it's certainly edging it. So onto my irons. Now I've been using these irons for over a year now, and these are the Cobra 1-length forge. Now I've got my 5-iron here, I've got my 9-iron here, and as you can tell, they are the same length, and they're actually cut to the length of a 7-iron. Now the whole point behind this is that I can pretty much use the same swing on each of these irons. Over the last year, I've had mixed success with them. I would say that I like the concept, but I have changed and switched back into progressive length irons at times and not really seen that much of a difference. I imagine that I probably will change these relatively soon, but certainly for the Quest for the Open, which is only going to be a month away, there's no point in changing them in that intervening time period. Now, with these irons as well, I've got the AMT, the Dynamic Gold shaft in there, and I've got mid-size grips, and I've got mid-size grips on all of my clubs as well. But I'm just going to show you the difference between the 9 and the 5-iron. So play all these irons just out of the forward of center of my stance. Now this is my 9-iron, and the one concern I've got about this is just the height that they go. And this is something which has been changed with the newer irons as they come through. But at the moment, that 9 iron just goes straight into the stratosphere. And I switch on to my 5 iron, so pretty much exactly the same position in my stance, that same type of swing. So much better flight to my eye on that shot. I did strike that better as well, to be fair. But that's the difference, and that's the one thing I'm not 100% sure about. They've changed the head densities in the lower lofted irons to the higher lofted irons, almost said shorter and longer irons there, to actually try and get the launch characteristics correct, but it's still not quite there yet. So maybe in the future, this is definitely a set to consider, but for now, I'd say give it a go, but it's certainly not the cure to all your golfing woes. So onto the wedges, and I've got new wedges in the bag. Now this is the SM7s, the Vokeys, and I've gone for a little bit of a different makeup than I usually do. So I've gone for a 46 degree. Now generally what I play is the stock wedge of the set that I've been using. So in this case it'd be the 1 length, but again, it just went so high, it was uncontrollable. Downwind, I could hit that Cobra 1 length wedge about 160. There's no point in doing that. You need more control over the scoring clubs. So I've gone for a 46 degree Hurricane. I've named all my wedges as well, and that's in the F grind, and we'll get into those in a minute. Then it goes on to the 50 degree, also in the F grind as well, and that is my cheeky little Spitfire. Then we go on to the Tornado, the 54 degree wedge, and this is where it changes slightly. So this is the S grind. Now the grinds in the Vokey wedges, they are designed to do different tasks, and I'll basically array what those tasks are here. I don't need to talk through them fully. If you're familiar with the SM7s and the SM wedge families, then you'll know a little bit about that anyway. Now from the 54 degree, I jump up to the 60. What I found when I was gap testing was these wedges, as far as what I've previously been using, the Tailor-Made mill grind, they were so much more consistent at actually gapping the distances on full shots. But I found after the 54 degree wedge, I'd filled in that many yardage gaps that I could go straight to the 60, and this is in the M grind. And I'm specifically using this one around the green. So I very rarely hit a full shot with this lob wedge. This is more for the short shots. Now, one concern about these wedges I had to begin with was that they felt really hard. But actually, I've come to got used to that now, and I can generate quite a lot of backspin around the greens, which is basically all that I'm looking for. During the fitting, the wedges are to a wedge flex, so I've not gone for an X flex or anything like that. I found that my gapping with my wedges was fine with that wedge flex shaft, and I've also got mid-size grips on these as well. So on to the putter now. This is a club which has been in a pretty constant state of flux recently while I try and find something that I really like. At the moment, I've got this TP collection putter from Tailor-Made. Now this is the Berwick design. It's a face balanced putter. It's actually quite a compact headed design. I was using a ping putter before this, which was a little bit bigger. Now this sits really nicely behind the ball. It's not as forgiving on off-center strikes as the ping, which is something that I do struggle with, but that's obviously more technique than actually the club. I've also got one of these P2 grips. Now the P2 grips I've been using for a while now, and I really like the feel of them. It's a slightly different shaft position in these grips than other grips, and I can go into that a little bit more in another video. But this is chopped down to 33 inches as well, which really allows me to get the feeling of actually getting over the ball that little bit more. So with a longer putter, I feel I have to kind of stand up and really alter my posture around quite a lot. But with this style of putter and to this length, I feel I can get my eyes over the ball much better and get in a comfortable position to actually stroke these putts. Now the one thing that I do need to improve upon with this putter is the longer range putts. Now over a short distance, these are absolutely great. Over the longer distance, I've not quite had the same success. So we will see how this progresses during the next few weeks. So next up, ball and glove. Now the gloves I'm using at the moment, I've got FootJoys and I've got a bit of a backlog of these. Golf glove wise, I don't really have a massively strong opinion on golf gloves. FootJoy do make some great ones, so that's who I generally use. But to be honest, you can go to any of the big manufacturers of golf gloves and I'm sure you can find one that fits and that works for you. Ball wise, I'm using the Tailor-Made Tp5. Now I started using this last year and it still, for me, is one of the best balls because it doesn't really spin much. Again, going back to what we're talking about with the driver, I can keep this ball much more under control than I can some of the other balls out there on the market. Obviously, there's a trade-off to that. So when I get to use my wedges, this isn't as soft and it doesn't spin as much as some of the other balls out there, but it certainly does enough that I need it for. Now, I do need to have a little bit more of an experimentation with what's out there at the moment in time. There are some new balls out on the market, but for now, the Tailor-Made TP5 certainly probably is the best one that I've tried so far. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching this What's in the Bag. That is, like I said, pretty much what I'm going to be using over the next month or so, but we'll have to wait and see. Unless something jumps out at me that says, oh my God, I need to put this in my bag, that's what's going to be there. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you aren't a subscriber already. I don't want you to be missing any of the videos which are coming out, and there are some great ones. Make sure you follow me on my other social media as well. That is all linked in the description below, and we'll see you down here next time.